Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on the video. Sorry I haven't had a lot of videos lately. I've had some health issues I've been dealing with. Those are still kind of ongoing, but I'm learning how to cope with the challenges. And while I was doing that, I got to thinking about, okay, what would I like to do when I come back? And of course, I want to do more fun videos on No Man's Sky and Icarus and some of the other games that I've played, and some games that you haven't seen me play before. So keep an eye out for those. But while I was sort of convalescing, I also started thinking about other interests that I can maybe share with you. And one of those is making music. A lot of people think that, it has to be really complicated or expensive to make your own music. And if you have any mild interest in this video is here to kind of show you that it doesn't have to be that complex. There's some really cool tools out there that are either free and or very affordable that you can use, and you do not have to have tons of like music theory knowledge and musical background. Don't get me wrong, if you start getting into this, if you show interest in it, you are probably going to want to learn more things so you can do more cool, more complicated, or just different things in music that will be easier to do if you have more of that basic understanding. But this video is going to show you a tool called Midinous. And as the title says, we're going to actually draw some music. So this program is actually available on Steam, just like the fun games that we play. And if you're not sure if it's something that you really want to do, the cool thing is the developer has a demo. I'm using the demo version. I fully intend to purchase the full version. I've had a lot of fun playing around with this, and I just really think it's going to take my my journey in music making to a whole new level. So I'm pretty excited to be able to do more with it. But as this is a demo, I want you to keep in mind, if you download the demo, there are these few points that you want to keep in mind. So the demo, you can play around with it, you can do a lot and save stuff, and you won't lose that progress as long as you go ahead and purchase the full version. Right now, the full version it's about $25 on Steam regularly, but until I believe July 13th, we have the Steam sale going on right now, and it is marked down to like $17 and some change. I want to say $17.49. If you find this interesting at all, definitely want to hop on this while you can get it at a discount. I did have a few minor hiccups getting this set up, which I'll kind of talk about those as we go through this. But I do want to say, if you go to the Steam page, there's a link to the Discord, the developer. They are the only person working on this, and I was really impressed that they were willing to take the time to help me work through these hiccups so that I can get it working and use their program. So if you run into a snag that's not covered by this video, go check out the Discord. There's probably somebody there, possibly even the developer. That's the first person who talked to me, that will do their best to help you. There's a lot of different computer configurations, so you might also have to do some Googling, which I did because they couldn't help me with everything. So without further ado, let's talk about this program. So you'll notice here it's made up of grid lines and dots. If we go over to the toolbox over here, we've got this first tool, which is basically a selection tool. The second tool actually creates notes for us. So let's draw a basic shape. Okay. By default, it doesn't necessarily have primary values and channels on. I prefer to have those on because it makes it easier for me to know what notes. So this is 3C, and what MIDI channel, which we're going to talk about MIDI a little bit more in just a few minutes. This is on channel 1. All right, so this in of itself isn't going to do anything. We need to tell the program what order we want these notes to play in. So in order to do that, we're going to use this path tool to connect them. So I'm just making a really basic shape. And then if I want to hear what this sounds like, Midinous first and foremost is what's called a nonlinear MIDI sequencer. So MIDI is a system that's been around for a number of years that allows software and hardware to communicate musical information to each other. So by drawing this shape here, we are saying a note, and the distance of the line here. Currently, I have this set up in 6/4, but like 4/4. If you're familiar with music, you might. 4/4 is a pretty common timing for notes. So you have 4 notes in a measure. So the distance between the notes, that's going to have a play in how quickly the note plays. So what I want to do with this is, if I want to just listen to it, I'm going to click here. There is an internal synth which will create some very basic sounds so that you can listen to it. But the developer really didn't intend for you to use it extensively with the internal synth, and I'll kind of show you why. So with the internal synth on, if I hit the play button here, we're going to hear this very, simple beepy noise. Okay, and then just to kind of further demonstrate how the shape of things has an effect on what kinds of sounds you get, let's go ahead and draw a second shape here. Let's get these connected. Okay. And then an important thing to note, when I drew this first shape, you notice this particular icon for the note is a little bit different. It's kind of got a diamond behind the rectangle. And if I click on that, you'll notice in the properties for it, it has start selected. Well, you always have to have a start point for your shapes. And this second shape we drew did not come with a start point to begin with. So I need to set one. So now if we play this, and you notice we're not really hearing, much of a difference between these and these because it's all kind of the same note. So let's select, and you can do this stuff on the fly. Okay. So now we can tell that we clearly have 2 different sounds, and it's okay, but again, the developer didn't really expect that you were going to use it this way. So how do we get more exciting sounds into this? Well, the way that we do that is through a program called a digital audio workstation. So in music production, and let me bring up my DAW of choice, which is Cakewalk. And in here, I can create instruments, and I can create notes, and you can connect a musical keyboard to this, which isn't the purpose of this specific video. But this is what's called a linear editor, so it's more the traditional way of doing things. But for our purposes of using it with Midinous, what we're really going to use it for is we're going to use it to put some instruments in here. So real quick, in order to get Midinous to work correctly with your DAW, you're going to need to go into your preferences or your settings. Each program's a little bit different. For me, in Cakewalk, I look for MIDI because Midinous is a MIDI device. I'm going to click on. And then I just had to check this box here to make Midinous, the Midinous port available. So making sure that I had that on. Next thing I need to do is I want to add a more interesting sound. So in addition to Cakewalk, Cakewalk is free currently. Like I said, I think it's really important for people to be able to make music for affordable slash free. It's currently a free program. Unfortunately, I got the sad news, a few weeks back that Cakewalk has decided that their next version is not going to be free. They haven't said how much yet, but potentially it could be around $300. That's kind of the quote unquote typical price for a professional quality DAW, which this really is. I mean, it has some quirks, and it's not the most perfect program out there, but for free, it was very good. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after this goes to paid. In theory, I can continue using this version for a while, even after the paid one comes out. Another alternative for those that want to look into it is a program called LMMS. That's a free and open source project. LMMS, it was okay. I liked it, but it just seemed a little bit clunkier than the Cakewalk was. So that's why I went with Cakewalk. That being said, it's been 2 or 3 years since I went back and looked at LMMS. So that may be an upcoming video as me going through that. If you have any other suggestions for free or cheap slash affordable DAWs, please leave those in the comments, because I'm definitely trying to figure out what my next move is going to be for this. So we're going to want to add some instruments to this so that we can spice up those sounds. So DAWs in of themselves do not come with sounds necessarily. Cakewalk has a few built-in ones. If we go in here, let's see, do they have it categorized specifically? I've added some things, but some of these, like the SL piano strings, so on and so forth. So it comes with a few included free sounds, but you're going to find at some point you're going to want to get a wider variety of sounds if you get into this. So kind of my 3 sources for quality free sounds are, if you go to Spitfire Audio, under Discover, get those pop-ups out of the way. Under Discover, you're going to find 3 options here for free stuff. So Labs, there's a little program that you download, and it lets you download several high-quality sample-based instruments. The BBC Symphony Orchestra, it is what it sounds like it is. It gives you violins and trumpets and flutes and basically anything you would see in a orchestra. And then you can also explore Piano Book. There's a number of free instruments there. The trick with that is, if you want to stay 100% free, you want to look at the ones that work with a program called Decent Sampler. You can Google that. Sorry, I don't have the tab set up here. As long as you stick with the Decent Sampler, you shouldn't have to worry about buying additional software. Another popular program is called Contact, and Contact is made by a company called Native Instruments. But Native Instruments also has a number of free instruments and music related programs that you can use. The best one to start off with is this one, Complete Start. It's going to give you basically almost all of their free tools that they currently have available. I highly recommend it. And then the other choice is Vital, which is a wavetable synth. And basically with this, you're kind of making sounds from scratch on your own. I'm going to be doing some videos on Vital. It's really cool. You can make you know, pretty much any sound using this program. And I have a lot of fun with it. So look for that video as well. Okay. So going back to Cakewalk, let's start off with a labs instrument. Now, in order for it to talk to the, let's check something here real quick. Let's go back to Midinous. Okay, so I want these two different shapes to be able to make two different sounds. When I turned on the channels, this MIDI sequencer that is going to be sending MIDI information to Cakewalk, currently everything is going as one channel. So kind of, it's a little more complicated than this, but kind of think of if we only have one channel, then we're pretty much stuck with one sound. So what I want to do is I want to set this second group up so that it has the ability to be assigned a different instrument. So I'm going to set that to channel 3. Also, to kind of make this more interesting, a cool thing in Midinous is the fact that we can do random things with notes. So we'll change it by a note, and we're going to have it do plus and minus. And you notice as I'm hovering over this stuff, if you look at the bottom edge there, you can see help messages kind of pop up to show you what the stuff is about. There is also a useful PDF help manual. So let's see, I've got the channel I want. I've got a little variation in the notes. That sounds good to me. All right, so let's go back to Cakewalk. And let's add a labs instrument, and I'm going to pick the channel 3. And then in Cakewalk, in order to kind of pick the specific instrument you want, you need to click the little icon next to this. And by the way, this is a label. So I'm going to change this to say drums, because the type of instrument I'm going to pick is going to be a drums instrument. Okay, I don't want just the generic percussion. I think I want, yeah, let's go with the 1975 kit. And then also, switching back to Midinous, I think there was one more thing I wanted to do. Let's see, I also want to change the bass note to, let's go with A. Okay, so that's going to give us our first sound. Let's go ahead and turn the internal synth off. Let's go ahead and play this. And you can see now we're getting some drum noises. No musical instrument has been assigned to this channel 1 loop here. So let's take care of that. Let's get a second instrument. I'm going to stick with labs. I'm going to change it to channel 1. And then this time, let's see, let's do something, I don't know, maybe kind of synthy. And by the way, all these instruments you see in here, I downloaded free from Spitfire Audio. Let's see, let's go with I don't know. Let's try that. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so now if I switch back to Midinous and we hit play, I'm not hearing it. Okay, let's go back to Cakewalk. Oh yes, so this was one of the little glitches I ran into, that the developer wasn't, you know, very familiar with Cakewalk really at all, which is, That's not a disparaging comment at all. There's so many different pieces of software out there. You know, trying to develop software for musicians is much more complicated than probably any other development process. What I figured out is I need to make sure I turn the input echo on. So now if we go back to Midinous, and then if we want, with our selection tool selected here, let's mute that for a second. That's not super exciting. Let's pick something different. Ooh, kind of more of a ethereal vibe. And maybe we'll stretch this out so there's more decay here. And unmute that. No, still not quite what I'm looking for. Let's try. No, I don't want all that selected. I just want keys. Let's see. About piano. And sometimes it takes a minute for it to load. That's why we're not hearing anything right away. The notes are probably too short. You can see over here, it's just barely coming in. All right. Maybe this needs to be a different instrument. What if we change this from a drum to, say, piano? I don't know. There we go. It's pretty quiet. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that. Go ahead and bump our volume up. There we go. That's kind of nice. And you notice it created a completely different vibe from what we had before. That's kind of the beauty of this system of MIDI is we're kind of setting the patterns and the notes and stuff, but then we can come back and create, you know, completely different sound just by changing the instruments. So I'm gonna actually close this. Wait, cancel. I'm gonna actually revert this. Oh, no, it's not gonna let me. Okay, I'm gonna close this. No, I'm not gonna save my changes. And then I want to go ahead and reopen the project because I played with this already with some different sounds. And you can see now to the right of my instruments, I now have some note information. Let's go ahead and turn on just so you can kind of see how this looks in a more traditional view. Let's see, piano roll. I thought there was a way to like dock that with everything else. Okay. So this is kind of a more traditional way of maybe doing it. I can draw notes in here. How did I get these notes in here? That's probably the question you're asking yourself. So in Cakewalk, I hit the record button. I armed these for record, and then I hit record here, and then I played in Midinous, and now I have a permanent record basically of the pattern that I created in Midinous that I can then further go into and edit if I wanted to. So here's a little sample of what I did before. Pretty cool rhythm, like this. So there's a lot of flexibility in here, and then of course you know, you can add effects to this. So I just hit the little FX thing next to this is the drum track, and I added this delay, which is also this is by Sixth Ample. This is also a free plugin that lets me create delays on top of the instrument sound that I have. So hopefully that's given you some ideas for how you could use Midinous, and kind of a really basic introduction to some of the tools that are available. I'm going to go into some deeper dives in future videos, but if you are at all interested in this, then I highly encourage you to check it out. Download the demo for yourself. Get yourself Cakewalk or LMMS and try it out. And then let me know in the comments below. Maybe you've got some free or you know, cheaper / affordable tools that you're using for music production. I'd love to hear about those in the comments down below. I am also working on getting some additional equipment to help me further with my musical endeavors here for the channel. If you'd like to support me in that, in the description I'm going to put a link to a GoFundMe that I've created, and I'm also working on the possibility of starting up a Patreon, but I want to make sure that you know, that I have good things that you're gonna find value in before I do Patreon. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please feel free on your way out to hit that like and subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and we'll see you in the next video.